Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Friday, the 30th day of May 2025. Happy Friday. I hope this Friday finds you safe and healthy, and that your family is safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the health, along with the first responders, who every day are doing their best to save lives and comfort those that are sick and bring healing. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage, keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings to the men and women out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children, victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Those that are out here trying to do the same and recover those that are victims of prostitution, child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts that create the demand of which these evil industries provide the supply. Finally, double blessings upon the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, and veterans homeless in the United States of America. There are millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There was a basketball game at Madison Square Garden in New York City last night. The New York Knicks won Game 5 against the Indiana Pacers, 111-94. And I saw something very important. I was yelling at the TV the whole game, basically on two subjects from the opening tip. Keep them out the paint and don't turn the ball over. Now, you can tell, just looking at the stats, I was yelling a lot because between Karl-Anthony Towns, the usual suspects, Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, and Mikal Bridges, they three turned the ball over 10 times. Way too much. But the Knicks were cruising, and the reason why, if you look at the first quarter, they kept all of the Pacers out the paint. And I was yelling at the TV, keep them out the paint, keep them out the paint. I know Aaron Nesmith went off on three-pointers about, game one, I think it was, and they lost that game. But the key is keeping the ball out the paint, because the reason they get shooters like Nesmith open is because they get in the paint and spray it out. So the Knicks were getting in the paint. Honestly, I didn't like the way the game was going. I know Brunson was doing his thing. I didn't like it because the ball wasn't moving. Several times down the floor, he's the only one that touched the ball. And he dribbled all over the place and get a shot. Okay, great. But we want more ball movement if possible. The Knicks ended up with 22 assists. Not bad, but we're looking at more than that. But we got the dub, so we're happy. So I was concerned about that, because the problem with that is you're not getting your teammates involved. And if you start missing your shots, we're in trouble. So I was a little worried about that. But they were keeping Indiana out the paint. Brunson was getting his feet in the paint. And matter of fact, all the Knicks were getting themselves in the paint. OG Anunoby was getting in the paint. Karl-Anthony Towns, Hart, everybody, Deuce, everybody was getting their feet in the paint. Whereas they were stopping, especially Haliburton, from getting in the paint. Haliburton killed us the other night. He was hitting threes, but it wasn't just the threes. It was 5 or 12 from three. He shot 50% from the field because he was constantly getting in the paint. In the second half of the game last night, Mikal Bridges, for some reason, was letting Haliburton go right and get in the paint. Then eventually he was getting help, but that was driving me crazy. And I couldn't wait. I went and I was waiting for the stats to come out because I wanted to see points in the paint. And it was 60-34. And that was the ball game. The Knicks were constantly getting in the paint of Indiana, and Indiana was not being allowed to get in the paint. Finally, as many have pointed out, they were being very physical with Tyrese Haliburton. He had hands on him. He had bodies on him constantly. Yes, overall, I'll have to give Mikal Bridges a B. Well, I should give him an A, but at least a B plus because of how he guarded Haliburton. Haliburton was 2 of 7, 0 of 2 from the 3-point line, had 8 points. He was minus 23. And I know Bridges was the primary defender, but he had help, and as he should have had help. Sometimes they would drive me crazy because, like, Brunson would show double where he should stay on the man and then run away from the man. It was driving me nuts. I could tell it was probably driving Thibs nuts. What I like is that between adding Wright and Shamet to the rotation, which last night both of those guys provided some serious defense. Shamet played 14 minutes. Wright played 10 minutes. And it's not about how much the bench scores. It's about how many stops the bench causes. See, the commentary, the narrative is always about bench scoring, and that's incorrect when it comes to a defensive team. When you have a defensive-oriented team and the Knicks bench is defensive-oriented, you want to see how many stops they create because, again, in the playoffs, the team that gets the most stops wins. And so with Shamet and Wright came in the game, they were guarding Neesmith. They were guarding Mathurin, and Mathurin is a talent. As some of y'all remember, I wanted the Knicks to draft him. I was very high on him. In fact, I was higher on Mathurin than I had been on a lot of prospects in recent years. I mean, the only guy that I remember I was as high on as Mathurin was Devin Vassell coming out of Florida State. But Mathurin's coming out of Arizona. I knew this boy could ball. He scored 23 off the bench in 25 minutes, and he scored like 20 the other night in like 18 minutes. Some ridiculous number. He is a talent. The problem is, as far as him starting, is you got Tyrese Haliburton, and Nembhard is much more solid on defense, which is the complement to Haliburton. That's why Nembhard starts. And Nembhard could also, when he could shoot at times too. He could shoot a high percentage. In fact, he's shooting 48% from 3 in the playoffs. Now, last night, he was 0 for 1 and 3 of 8. The Knicks put him in check. And I said yesterday, he's the guy you want shooting in that starting 5. If you're going to leave somebody open, it would be Nembhard. So they did a great job, the Knicks, defensively. They roughed up Haliburton. The refs allowed them to do that finally. Let them run. Let them play physical. They roughed up Haliburton. They kept Indiana out the paint. The biggest sign of that, to me, was T.J. McConnell. Because T.J. McConnell's whole game is getting in the paint. That's his whole game. He gets in the paint or he gets right next to the paint about 8 feet from the basket on either side. And he shoots that little fadeaway jump shot. He is expert at getting, what makes him stay in the league, he gets to that spot. You can know he's going there and he still gets there and you can't stop him, okay? And he was getting blocked. He got in the paint twice, I think, last night, which was excellent because that's his whole game. And what I love is Josh Hart backed up off him and let him shoot the 3 because he can't shoot 3s. The other night, they did the same thing, and he had to step forward, and it became a 2 because he's not a good 3-point shooter. So Hart played it smart, backed up off of McConnell, and he hit the 3. I don't mind that. If they're going to depend on him hitting 3s, we win in that game. But they kept that boy out the paint. Deuce kept him out the paint. Hart kept him out the paint. And so that's the key. And it's the paint differential that I just mentioned, 60-34, was not as much as, well, the Knicks were getting in the paint and dominating. Let me go and lie about that. But it was keeping them out the paint. Okay, that's what it was, keeping them out the paint. MitchRob was magnificent last night. Now, you look at, I remember back in the times, man, in the last 5, people look and say, Robinson, there are people out here that don't see a game, right? They'll look at the stat sheet and decide who played well and who didn't. Now, MitchRob didn't do nothing last night. I'm like, you ain't watched the game. See, now that everybody's watching the game, MitchRob only had 6 boards and 6 points. But MitchRob was magnificent last night. The defense, and on a couple of plays. See, there were times before Tom Thibodeau when MitchRob would have to try to guard 2 guys and get in foul trouble because he's trying to help out. And then people would call him foul prone, which I found frustrating. Y'all could be frustrating. But thing is, last night, a couple of times there were breakdowns on defense, and MitchRob saved the defense. He would be on It's Raining Men. He would back off and help somebody that got beat, then get back on It's Raining Men. You see, when you watching the game and you see that is championship level defense. Championship level defense. And last night, MitchRob only ended up with 3 fouls. He got, I think all 3 of them was in the third quarter. So he played 20 minutes, but magnificent defense. And of course, we saw the play again. He did the same number on Jaylen Brown. I think he did it on It's Raining Men last night. Miles Turner had him hemmed up on the sideline. Took the ball went out of bounds off of Turner because of the pressure MitchRob was applying. I don't want to hear nobody talk about Mitchell Robinson being traded. I had some stupid. Listen, let me just say something to y'all. If you hear about a stupid trade, do not repeat it on my channel. Because all you're doing is laughingly repeating a stupid rumor. It's like you're mentioning the gossip and you're trying to jest about it, but you're still becoming a gossiper. Do not mention stupid trades on my channel. Mitchell Robinson ain't going nowhere. They need to re-sign him in July to an extension. Probably the same $60 million. And let's move on with life. Because you want to keep, this guy's a championship piece. Last night, he saved at least 3 plays on the defensive end. And why is that important? Because if you are getting momentum, a momentum breaker is the other team scoring, right? So if you're in the midst of a 3-stop sequence or a 4-stop sequence or a 5-stop sequence, that sequence ends when they score, right? And so if you could get if you get beat and you're about to let them score, this cat, at least 3 times last night, prevented that. Okay, prevented that mess. So, oh man, I was so high when I was watching MitchRob last night. I love watching great defense, and he is that dude on defense. So that's him. Precious Achiuwa. Somebody was asking about Precious. This is the thing about Precious Achiuwa. I like Precious Achiuwa. I've been like Precious Achiuwa. I've been calling Precious Achiuwa Charles Oakley 2.0. The thing is about Precious Achiuwa though. For him to be most effective, he needs to play like he did last year in terms of, because of injuries to Mitchell Robinson, because of that situation, he was getting heavy minutes. And then if Hartenstein hurt himself, Precious would start. And every time Precious got 25 minutes or more, he was ringing up double-doubles, okay? So he needs minutes to be his most effective. Some players are like that. Like I mentioned, Deuce. Deuce was getting 1 minute, 5 minutes, and people say he can't shoot. He needs more than that to be able to play at his potential. And now he's getting 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 18 minutes. Last night he got 18 minutes. And obviously you can see what he could do. But Precious needs that. So if you bring in Precious in like you did last night for 6 minutes, you might get negative Precious. Now last night he was +6. He played beautiful last night. Precious can ball, but he needs minutes. The problem is between Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson, it's hard for him to get minutes. But he'll get more minutes in that scenario because Towns this is what happened last night. He committed some stupid fouls, and then he had to sit. Then MitchRob's taking on the whole burden, and he needs a blow, so now you're going to get Precious, okay? Now, Precious only got 6 minutes. You know, I think he got that the other night too, but that's just how this is rolling. You know, I don't know what's going to happen to Precious, but one thing, I remember when we had Obi Toppin, and I said Obi should be a starter, right? And the Knicks traded him to the Pacers, and he was the starter before they got Pascal Siakam, an all-NBA player. That is why Obi's coming off the bench for Indiana. When Pascal's not playing, or if they move Pascal to the 5, which they had to do last night because Miles Turner was in foul trouble, then Obi gets more minutes. But otherwise, he's just coming off the bench in his present situation. So I was glad they traded him to Indiana at the time because it would give him an opportunity to shine. Well, I think Precious is the same. If he's not going to get his opportunity to shine, because you know you still got Ariel Hukporti, who played 1 minute yesterday, but Ariel Hukporti, I feel like of all our youngins, he's the guy that's first in line, him and Beauchamp, to get into the rotation next year. But above all the other youngins we got, I'm looking at Hukporti, especially if you're going to start Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitch Robinson from the beginning of the next season. So I don't mind Hoop Party. I like Hoop Party, and I think they got to steal. You know, what he get drafted 60th, 55? They got to steal in Hoop Party. So you got him coming off your bench, and he's very active defensively and on the board. So we good there. That leaves Precious as the odd man out, though. So I'm hoping they, you know, the Don has been very good about doing players in Precious position, you know, doing them a solid. He did it with RJ, sending him back home to Toronto. Did it with IQ, sending him to Toronto to be the starting point guard, which he got a $175 million extension. Sending Obi to Indiana, you know, and they couldn't sign. They would have signed Hartenstein. People get it twisted, act like the Knicks should have signed Hartenstein, like they just chose not to. Don't be stupid. They were limited by the cap in how much they could offer Hartenstein, because they had signed him to a 2-year deal. Remember, he was a backup center to Zubac at the Clippers. And the Don went and snatched him and got him to a 2-year deal. Who knew he was going to be that good? I mean, we knew he was good, but then when he got the chance to start, he was shining. Nobody knew he was going to be that good. So because he was signed to a 2-year deal, the Knicks could only offer him a 2-year deal, whereas other teams could offer him a 4-year deal. And that's why he's in OKC. So it ain't like the Knicks, you know, fumbled. The Don played it smart, as he always does, playing chess. But who knew that cat was going to turn into a monster? Which he did. So he is good, the Don, at allowing guys that won't get the opportunity in New York for whatever reason to get it somewhere else. Precious is a baller, man. I would love to see him stay in New York, but it just doesn't fit when you got, and then, you know, you got Josh Hart, who plays the 4, the 3, you know, the 2, and he's one of Tom Thibodeau's grandkids, so he gonna ball, you know, he gonna get his minutes. And so you got OG, still could play the 3 or the 4, and OG guards 3s, 4s, 5s, 1s, 2s. So you're going to have them out there. It's hard to get Precious minutes in such a situation. So I hope, you know, at the end of the day, by the time we're looking at July and free agency, Precious gets a nice deal with somebody where he can get some nice minutes. I don't know what team. A lot of teams would want a kid like this. Probably a rebuilding team, you know, maybe a Charlotte, you know, some team that's rebuilding, a Toronto. I mean, I don't know, but a rebuilding team would want a Precious Achiuwa because he's really good. He's young, 25 years old, and he could ball. Giving him double-digit minutes in the rotation, you're gonna get results. So that's that. But so now it's 3 games to 2. They're going back to Indiana. The positive is the Knicks play better on the road. Since the playoffs have begun, the Knicks play better on the road. Let's also think about this. Against this Pacers team, it's 3 games to 2, right? But in the last 3 games, the Knicks are 2-1 against this team. So they won 2, lost 1. They won Sunday, lost Tuesday, won Thursday. They're 2-1 against this team. Okay? They are yet to win 2 in a row. So they're due to do that. Pacers won 2 in a row at the Garden, okay? But now, the Knicks are due to win another game in Indiana. So that's good. Also, I think we got the formula. If they can keep Haliburton especially, but out the paint, that's the key thing. And that's a Tom Thibodeau staple. He's always, even in Chicago, in Minnesota, when he first came to New York, his defense is predicated on keeping opposing guards out the paint, which is why he started Elfrid Payton. And Elfrid Payton couldn't shoot his way out of a paper bag, but he could sure play some defense. And so you kept your opponent's point guards out the paint. Knicks finished 4th that season, as we recall, only with 1 offensive threat, and that was Juju. Okay, and even he was limited, as we know, at that time. So he needs guards to keep opponents out the paint. He started last night. He has OG and McCall to do that. You know, Brunson, bless him, you know, bless him. I mean, you know, he is what he is. He does what he does, right? But defensively, he is the weak link. So they're gonna come at him. But the good thing is, he knows it. The Knicks know it. Okay, so why is that important? Because now we understand what the opponent is trying to do. We can counter it, which is why last night you saw 2 things. Whenever Brunson was getting full court pressure, he would get the ball to McCall or Josh. and get that ball and get the offense in motion. Then he would go off ball, and he was very effective. That needs to continue because they're going to try to beat him up, just like the Knicks going to try to beat up Tyrese Haliburton. But I feel like the Knicks play that game better. Detroit haven't trained us in that way. So, in Indiana, same rules apply. Rebound the basketball. Last night, the Knicks collected 45 boards, 11 on the offensive end. Indiana had 40 boards and 8 on the offensive end. So we know the Knicks were hitting. And it wasn't just MitchRob. Josh Hart had 3 offensive rebounds. Mitch only actually had 1. Towns had 2. OG had 2. They need to do that again. Hit them offensive glass. But MitchRob was drawing everybody's attention. Several of It's Raining Men Miles Turner's fouls were on MitchRob, trying to keep him off the offensive glass. That caused all kind of problems for them, okay? So they got to continue that. They must, 100% must, stop turning the freaking ball over. That was driving me crazy last night. I'm watching Josh Hart throw, and Brunson and KAT throw some of the dumbest. KAT was trying, you could at least see what he was trying to do. But damn, if you're going to throw a backdoor pass, make sure you throw that mess and be on with it. Or don't throw it, right? And so that was driving me crazy. 10 turnovers from them 3 dudes. That has got to stop. Period. We have seen Jalen Brunson during the course of the season. We have seen him have many games where he had 0 turnovers or 1 turnover or 2 turnovers. We've seen many games like that. We need to see that now. I know it's high level. Eastern Conference Finals is high level. It's definitely pressurized, no doubt. But it's not like the passes he throws that are stupid are because of pressure. He just makes a bad decision. That's really what it comes down to. Now, Jalen Brunson is averaging 7 assists and 3 turnovers per game. That is a really good ratio. Anytime the benchmark is 2 to 1. That's what you want from your point guard in the league. A good point guard. 2 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. So with Jalen Brunson, he's definitely got a little better than that because he got 7 versus 3. So you get a little bit better than 2 to 1. That's good. So 3 turnovers is what he's been doing. We want that to even drop. If he can just get it down to 2, and if we can get Josh Hart to play with a little bit more. I mean, Josh Hart usually doesn't do that. He just usually doesn't. But damn, he was really driving me crazy last night. He'd be in the paint now and just giving them the ball. And I was like, come on, baby. Come on, man. You ain't got to do that. Come on. So hopefully he wakes the hell up and stops turning the damn ball over, and we'll be in good shape. Because if you take away, let's say last night, Josh Hart had 3 turnovers. You take that away, and now it's a better game for us. Now you're going from having 15 turnovers to 12. It's a little bit better. And then Karl-Anthony Towns threw at least 3 stupid passes, at least 3. But let's take away 2 of the 4 he had. Right? So now between the 2 of them, you knock down 5 turnovers. From the 15, you're in the 10 range. Now they still blew him out last night. But, Saturday night, it's going to be a barn burner in Indiana. It's going to be a barn burner. Indiana has all the pressure on them. If Indiana does not win Saturday night, they got to come back to Madison Square Garden on Monday or Tuesday and play the Knicks. Okay? There is a little vibe of fixing in the NBA. Like we know, I don't think anyone doubts that the lottery is fixed. But it's been fixed a long time. But last night, they were advertising the Saturday night game. They put if necessary, but they were advertising that game before this game was over. Like this game was like in the 3rd quarter, and they were advertising Knicks versus Pacers Saturday night. It's almost like they knew the Knicks were going to win. That's kind of... When I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. I just took mental note of that. But anyway, it's going to be a barn burner in Indiana. I don't know. They better get... So now the Western Conference is set, right? So now you got Oklahoma City in the finals. So they should be able to get the best refs they can. I'm thinking they're going to have Tony Brothers there Saturday night. I'm thinking they have Tony Brothers there. I'm thinking Tony Brothers are going to work that game. Maybe Ed Malloy with him. Really experienced refs. Not that, that they're always good to us, but Yeah, those two guys. They probably got those guys in there. This is the sixth game. So if Indiana does not win this game Saturday night, they got to go back to New York. They don't want to do that. I'm going to tell you right now, they don't want to do that. That will wear them down mentally. Okay? So for the Knicks, keep them out the paint. Keep them out the paint. Keep them out the paint. I was yelling at the TV. Don't let them in the paint. Don't let them in the paint. Keep them out the paint. I was yelling at the TV last night. Don't let them out the paint. Don't let them out the paint. Don't get them in the paint. Get them out. Get them out. And they were doing it. And they were getting back most of the time. I'd say 80% of the time last night, the Knicks were back on defense the way they were supposed to. A couple of times, KAT fell and didn't get his ass up and run back. And that was a problem. And somebody else did it too, and I was like, "Come on, man, When they had a crew in there that didn't have MitchRob or Towns in it, and it was when Precious was out there with Deuce, Precious, I think DeLon Wright and Shamet, they were all out there together. That team went on 11-2 run. Why? Because they were getting stops. Okay, they were getting stops. That's what you need. Okay, so I have a feeling you're going to see Precious, not because Thibs all of a sudden is going to put him in the rotation, but I'm pretty sure that either Robinson or Towns is going to have foul trouble on Saturday night. Therefore, you're going to need to see Precious again. And that defensive unit was tight. It really was. So I'm thinking you're going to see Precious again. You're definitely going to see DeLon Wright, and you're going to see Landry Shamet. I love the minutes distribution. 10 minutes for DeLon, 14 for Shamet, 18 for Deuce. Love that. Okay, so that was beautiful minutes distribution by Tom Thibodeau. That team is a defensive-oriented crew, and he had them all out there together. It was them three with OG and Precious, and they played some hellified defense, them guys. So the bench last night, when you look at the plus-minus, the bench last night was actually plus 10. Now, Deuce was -3, which is rare. Deuce was -3 last night. Hart was -1, okay, which is rare. But you had +6 for Precious. You had +4 for DeLon Wright, +4 for Shamet. That is why you win the game. That's why you win the game. Now, Indiana's bench, they actually, it's interesting. Their overall, let me see. They actually were about +4, but Obi played the most. Bennett Mathurin played the most minutes, and Shepard. No, they were actually +3, but Obi was -26, and Shepard was -1. Yeah, but Jarish Walker, Furphy, you can't count him. He only played a minute. But basically, when they had to go to Thomas Bryant, I knew they was in trouble because Tony Bradley been doing a good job defensively. Bryant can't play no defense. He's an offensive center. He's not a defensive guy. And so I knew they were in trouble when they put him in the game. Then when they finally took Haliburton out of the game, Haliburton looked like he was suffering, like he was getting his ass whooped, and he was begging them to stop. So the coach took him out the game and said, "Okay, we're gonna give you some break, bro," because he wasn't into that noise last night in terms of getting his behind beat by the Knicks. So, and that was payback for Tuesday night. So again, Saturday night is going to be a barn burner. It really is. Keep them out the paint, win the offensive rebounding battle, okay, and keep the turnovers low. The Knicks can beat them if they do these things. If you look up and Haliburton's getting in the paint anytime he wants to, like he was Tuesday night, we're going to have a long night, and they're going to be on vacation early. But if they can keep them out the paint like they did last night, focus, and they were focused on it. You could see that was a focus of the game plan, keeping them out the paint. You keep them out the paint, and of course, Mitchell Robinson was going nuts, and so that it's raining men. Miles Turner could not do nothing with him. You keep that energy going. And last night was the first time in this entire playoffs that I saw Towns going to the basket without trying to hook somebody on an offensive foul. He still got called for offensive foul. It was a dumb one, as all of them are. But most of the time, he was just going strong to the hole without hooking or grabbing the other guy's arm, and he was getting to the line. it was really good to see. So if he can continue that, we're in good shape. And I have to agree with Fathead Charles Barkley and Penis Head Shaq. They was right. They told him, you got to stop shooting threes and get into the paint and get to the hole. And he agreed, you know. And then Charles asked him, why you do stupid fouls like that? And he even said, I don't know. Because one of the fouls, the dude was running across the lane. He grabbed him and pushed him right in front of the ref. Like, come on, man. And as big as he is, everybody in the world gonna see whatever he does with them big feet. So he gotta really watch himself. But that's the keys to Saturday night. Keep him out the paint. Win the rebounding battle. Stop the freaking turnovers. Keep them as low as possible. 10 would be ideal. And then we'll win that game and we'll be back in Madison Square Garden. If they don't, have your bags packed because they're going on vacation. We'll see. Y'all enjoy the game. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be all watching. Shalom.